And the Christian fascists in this country who love this kind of violence in the Middle East, because the Christian fascists somehow in their perverted goddamn minds, they think that this is going to be appealing to their Lord and Savior Jesus of Nazareth, the Jew. And he's going to return and suck everybody up into heaven. And one of those Christian fascists is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who said over the weekend that he would not accept refugees from Gaza. Oh, no. Oh, no. DeSantis, this little Nazi son of a bitch, said, quote, I don't know what Biden's going to do, but we cannot accept people from Gaza into this country as refugees. I'm not going to do that. If you look at how they behave, well, they're all anti-Semitic. None of them believe in Israel's right to exist. End quote. DeSantis' garbage mouth is wrong even on this. What he said is not supported by public polling on the issue. In a July poll by the pro-Israel organization, the Washington Institute, found that 50% of Gazans agreed that, quote, Hamas should stop calling for Israel's destruction and instead accept a permanent two-state solution based on the 1967 borders, end quote. But if we expect Ron DeSantis or this crazy fucking Vivek, whatever, Ramaswamy Dami, or any of these candidates to come anywhere near the truth where it concerns the Middle East, we're deluding ourselves. These son of a bitches could not care less, these Republicans, these Christian fascists. To them, it's just one more chess piece that they can use to try to convince the American public that these Christian extremists, are going to save us all. Nikki Haley yesterday did respond to DeSantis' filthy remarks by saying, the United States, quote, has always been sympathetic to the fact that you can separate civilians from terrorists, end quote. She was on CNN's State of the Union yesterday. She also said this, quote, you have to realize that whether we're talking about Gazans and Palestinians, all of them don't. You have half of them at the time that I was there don't want to be under Hamas rule. They don't want to have terrorists overseeing them. They knew that they were living under a terrible life because of Hamas. End quote. And last week, DeSantis pushed back when confronted by a voter who was at a market in Littleton, New Hampshire. This crazy fucking DeSantis thinks he's going to be president. And this voter, this citizen, questioned Israel's treatment of Palestinians in Gaza. The voter says, like all of us, he doesn't condone what Hamas did or the killing of innocent civilians. But he said, quote, Israel is doing the exact same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a radical right-wing crazy person. And I see hundreds of Palestinian families that are dead, and they have nowhere to go because they can't leave Gaza because no one's opening their borders. End quote. And DeSantis, who is still in that conversation, if you could call it that, said the voter made a really good point by bringing up neighboring countries, including Egypt and Saudi Arabia. This ignorant son of a bitch, DeSantis, said, quote, why aren't these Arab countries willing to absorb some of the Palestinian Arabs? They won't do it. He's such a dumb son of a bitch. Half the population of Jordan are Palestinian refugees. A huge percentage of the population of Lebanon are Palestinian refugees. DeSantis, like so many of these Christian terrorists, is an ignorant son of a bitch who knows nothing about the Middle East except one thing. And I mean no offense by this. This is DeSantis' mind. Jews are good, Palestinians bad. That's all he knows. That's all he knows. And DeSantis also went after the statements being made by President Biden as Biden tries to walk this incredibly narrow tightrope regarding this situation. And I'm not going to quote what DeSantis said. Fuck him. But this is what these Christian terrorists in this country do. They have no idea. They have no understanding of the situation in the Middle East, in Israel, Palestine. And they will not educate themselves. So here we are. I wonder what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow, Tuesday. I wonder what new phase of horror is going to metastasize in Israel, Palestine by tomorrow. Whatever it is, I will try to bring it up on this podcast if I can handle it. I'll see you tomorrow. Please stay safe. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.